Oh, I'm just walked into a mainstream media camera, sorry. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nigel Farage.
Okay, so we now have Richard Tice after the press conference that we just did the live stream earlier on. Richard, firstly, I actually asked your colleagues as well. The mainstream media, the journalists today, as usual, asking us the same questions. That, you know, are you just Tory 2.0? Are you going to have Tory defections? Are you basically here to destroy the Tories? Every single question was similar. Is that a basic problem that when it comes to third parties, smaller parties getting a chance?
In a sense, it's not a problem. What it is a complete misunderstanding by the mainstream media that the two main parties now are one and the same. You can't split the difference. They're both forms of socialism. You've got con-socialist Tories, you've got red socialist Labour Party. It's high tax, high government spend, very often wasteful spending, nanny state, and that leads to low growth, and it leads to a doom loop spiral of decline. And that, I believe, I think that's a disaster for the country. We've got so much potential, but to unleash that, you've got to do Brexit properly. You've got to make sure that the whole United Kingdom is saved as one whole. Northern Ireland has been left handcuffed to the EU. So Rishi Sunak's Windsor framework is a con. It's been missold. We've got all this potential, but that will not be unleashed under the two main parties. And that's why we think that our solutions to the challenges we face, whether it's on the economy, whether it's on growth, whether it's on health, whether it's on the energy costs, on immigration, on stopping the boats, we're the only party with clear, big, bold solutions. And the country deserves a better choice, a better answer.
And just quickly, obviously you mentioned Reform UK, the whole agenda is to reform every aspect of the country and governance. Are you guys still going to be obviously calling for inquiries, investigation into everything from civil service to the lockdown days to obviously the side effects of jazz and everything?
Yeah, obviously on, for example, lockdowns, we were against the lockdowns. We were very concerned what the damage that they were doing, and of course we've been proven right in all of that. And the lockdown files recently released by The Telegraph clearly showed the huge mistakes and the fact that so many of the judgments made by the government, by Boris Johnson, by Matt Hancock at the time were not based on the best scientific advice. They were based on their own judgments, what worked for them politically, their own fears, and the results for the country have been catastrophic. So we will keep challenging that. We'll keep saying that the inquiry should be finished within a year. Sweden have already finished their inquiry within a year. Why don't we adopt their terms of reference and say you've got a year to do it? Otherwise, it'll be 7 to 10 years. It'll be possibly more, £300 million of costs. Utterly absurd. So yes, we'll continue to challenge on all of these issues, and I think that's the right thing to do, and that's what democracy demands.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and best of luck with everything. Cheers. Thank you. Gonna quickly grab Alex. Hello, Alex. How are you? It's been a while. How's everything with this getting the band back together?
Do you know, it indicates something quite striking, actually, doesn't it? That we'd all exited politics thinking we've done our job, we've done what we can do, and clearly nothing that we wanted to see done was delivered.
Yep.
And so we felt compelled to all get back together. And as Richard was saying, we look at some of the research being done, that how disaffected voters are out there, and people are crying out vessel, a democratic vessel in which to put their votes. The entitlement to the establishment parties, the Conservatives who say, oh no, all of this vote belongs to us and you dare not vote for anybody else. The Labour Party as well, who think they're the only alternative to the Conservative Party. We've seen what's been happening across Europe, the rise of populism, and there is a huge appetite now that people do not want either of the big parties.
Yep.
They really don't want the smaller ones either, because they're massively out of step culturally when it comes to liberal left, neo-ideologies that are far away from what the voters are asking for. And so we're here to say you're not politically homeless.
And quickly on the issue of media, are you guys not getting sick and tired of the mainstream media always asking similar questions? Are you just here to be Tory 2.0? Are you just standing to destroy Tories? It's always the same questions. What do you think of that?
They don't get it. They never have got it. We saw that. I mean, I saw that personally in the UKIP years. I saw that over Brexit.
Same.
And seeing it again now, that they just don't get people out there who are looking at their televisions, looking at politics and think, this doesn't represent me, this has got nothing to do with me.
Yep.
And where has critical analysis gone in politics? Where we have a two-party system, but under first past the post, anything's possible.
Yep.
And when you look at how disillusioned people are, and when you look at the sudden block, in the polls for the Conservative Party, you would think that journalists would be asking themselves the question, okay, where are these people going to go? How are they going to vote? They're not doing that. They're not doing their job.
With your return, people like yourselves, one of the concerns that people are in the live stream they're talking about is the banking system, the businesses, financial services, all the chaos. Are you guys going to be at the party also coming up with ideas to talk about that, because the Tories and Labour are not talking about
Why
it?
do we have a problem with the banking industry? We have a problem with the banking industry because the state has borrowed too much. It's regulated financial institutions into owning government debt.
Yeah.
Returns have fallen through the quantitative easing and the printing of money to such low levels that the exposure that these financial institutions have taken to try and get a decent rate of return through government debt has been far too dangerous. So when interest rates popped up a little bit, you had a collapse in the asset values of these institutions. The reason the financial institutions is because we've been running a socialist government model for 13 years.
Yeah.
We have to change that. We've got to get investment more into the private sector, into equities, into small private businesses, and the economy and the financial institutions will automatically come right. We've got to stop directing money at governments, and we've got to start directing it at private enterprise.
And whatever happened to balancing the books, both in terms of the government? We hear a lot about all this spending, but what about balancing the books and making sure that cuts are in the right place? They don't talk about cuts, they need cuts. And secondly, the same in business and in banking, that they have to balance their books as well, and that clearly wasn't happening. Hence, we've had this awful situation with banks in America and now in Switzerland. So I think that's one of the issues as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Good luck with it. Cheers. Oh, I'm just walked into a mainstream media camera. Sorry. Right. So obviously we asked a couple of questions from Ben Habib and others about the actual policy ideas, because the mainstream media have been focusing a lot on nonsensical questions about, are you just going to be Tory 2.0, or are you just basically making problems for the Tory party? But whereas it's not really supposed to be like this. For any third party or smaller party, if they want to be able to compete with the big parties, they're going to have to be treated the same way as the Labour Party or the Tory party are being treated right now. I'm just going to look around because we have Anne Widdecombe about to do an interview and Richard Tice. Belinda, are you excited?
I'm very excited. I'm very excited because something's happening and it's real, and there is a movement going on, and I've always said it's never been governments in power in our history that has changed our lot. It's always been people power, always the little ones on the ground that have changed the direction of this country. So, and I believe in the people, and it's time to take back control of our parliament and our future.
And now that obviously you and others are back involved with the whole main project, a lot of people are in the live chat are also asking about other policy ideas like education and everything else. So hopefully we're going to hear more about those other stuff.
Definitely. I'm big on child protection in schools. I feel like children have been indoctrinated so much by unsubstantiated ideologies, unchallenged ideologies like critical race theory, like gender ideology. There's no place for them in the classrooms. Childhood needs to be protected, and it's not by either party. They're not taking the culture war seriously, and it is damaging our children. They're on paths to butchering their bodies and puberty blockers, and that's been a real betrayal of the adult-child boundary. So I'm big into childhood protection, which is, I think, Reform UK will take it very seriously and stop our teachers from being Labour activists in our classroom and indoctrinating our children.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Best of luck. Cheers. Right. So yeah, we asked them about the education policies and what's going on with the banking system. Of course, that's one of the biggest problems right now in the country, whereas again, the likes of the BBC or Sky and others haven't really focused on any of that. The Tory party and the Labour Party haven't really been talking about new ideas when it comes to whether it's education or, again, the financial crisis that has been going to hit us any moment, really. Well, it's already there. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we got a lot of news updates for you guys throughout the whole day, every half an hour. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.